I don't think so. I think he should deal with it. My advice to him would be go in, face them, and make them look you in the eye, and make them look the American people in the eye. And you know what? You wanted drama. That's what you're going to get, because they're going to win. There is no crime here, and they're going to win. And DA Alvin Bragg will go down as the worst DA in history, and he's going to get his place in American history, and it's not going to be a good one. I think, my advice to him, Tucker, would be to go in, face them however which way they want. If they want a production, that's on them. I think they've already done that, frankly. And you know how it goes. We'll hear leaks, just like we did with that Georgia 4 woman that came out and wanted her moment on MSNBC. We'll see what happens.
Does this moment feel dangerous to you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Does this moment feel dangerous to you for the country?
Oh, terrible. Terrible. I'm petrified for this country. I'm a lawyer, and
bro, she can't even emote it. Get Bongino back on, dude. He was crying earlier.
Supposed to take the laws of this country and abide by them no matter what my personal beliefs and politics are. And this is the most extreme, scariest moment from somebody within my profession.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who didn't watch, you can see it in the VOD. Dan Bongino was crying.
There's no better way to say it, Tucker. I'm petrified.
On air, on camera.
This is third world stuff. We don't put politics ahead of the law. We have a democracy. We have the right to vote. We have the right to have a fair and impartial jury. And evidently, if you're a Republican, Donald Trump, or
famously, it's an indication that our system is completely corrupt when like a former president gets away with doing whatever the fuck they want. That's how that works. Bro, if anything, this is like the one instance that it's not as corrupt. What the fuck do you mean?
Donald Trump personally didn't vote for him to stand up and defend the principle of equality under the law for the sake of America. Wouldn't that be reassuring for everybody right about now?
Yeah. Yes. And I think that person, frankly, Tucker, should be the president of this country. I think that the president has an obligation to be that person. And I want to see what Karine Jean-Pierre says. I really hope for our country's sake, and I'm Donald Trump's attorney, but I'm an American citizen. And my parents are immigrants. And I'll tell you right now that I hope for our country's sake that the president stands up. I hope that the Congress is looking in. I know they asked DA Bragg to come in and he refused.
Bro.
I want this country to get on track. Period. I don't care how we do it, but the president, the leader of the free world, needs to do that. And we don't have the right people in that place right now, unfortunately.
No, we don't. Lena Habba, the president's attorney, thank you very much. So as far as we know, and of course we could be wrong because we're very caught up in the story as it unfolds, but as far as we know, no prominent Democrat has stood up to defend the system against this perversion of the system. So
that's so fucked up. I can't believe it, dude. I'm a prominent Democrat. I'm standing up. I'm saying, please don't arrest him, sir.
For the nomination. And he'd like to win, but he thinks that this is a grave threat to the country. Vivek, thank you so much for coming on tonight. How do you view this indictment?
This is a grave day in American democracy. I mean, this is a threat. This is fundamentally un-American. And Tucker, it's not even about Donald Trump.
He ain't wrong. It is un-American.
It's about every American, because if they can do it to Trump, they can do it to you. And this is something that's bigger than partisan politics. Yes, I would like to defeat Donald Trump in this primary and in the election. But I want to do it by convincing every voter to vote for me, because at the end of the day, the American...
Oh, what the fuck? This guy's running for president? What? Who the fuck? He said, yes, I'd like to defeat Donald Trump. Like, who a megalol, bro? What do you mean? What?
Prosecutor campaigns on indicting him or investigating him. That itself is politicized, let alone when he's the lead member of the opposition party to the ruling party that's in power. And we are not a country, Tucker. Whoever we are as a country, it's not a country that allows police power to be used by the ruling party to arrest its political opponents. Yet that's exactly what happened today. And I don't care if you're on the left or the right, turn the table.
Explain why they sell the shit like if they can do it to Trump, they can do it to you. Like, what the fuck? Brother, they're selling it like that because a lot of these people think like, oh yeah, I'm above the law. So this is like a wake up moment for all of them. But what they don't realize is when you're a Republican HVAC business owner, okay, unless you know the police chief and shit in your bumfuck small town, okay, you will get fucked over by the law if you do something fucked up. If you are also just a actual worker in the HVAC business and not the business owner, you're already cooked. You're cooked. You do something that is a violation of the law, you are most likely going to get long-dicked by the law regardless. You can try and like make it seem as though this is truly unprecedented. If they're coming after Trump, they're coming after you all day, every day. But the reality is, I think a lot of people deep down inside kind of understand. So the better angle, in my opinion, here to cover is that like this is actually not a serious thing at all. It's actually a ridiculous thing.
Has an immune reaction
Which
to
is
an
what they're doing.
outsider that actually wants to reform the system. And one way or another, by high water or not, they were going to come for him. And in the end, it's not about Trump.
It is a
it's about
serious thing, you commie. I mean, not really. It's not. Like, out of all the, I mean, even Fox News is not wrong when they say, out of all the things to like arrest or indict Trump over, this is like one of the lightest offenses. It's true. Donald Trump has done significantly worse shit throughout his tenure than fucking pay hush money to a porn star and then like attribute campaign finances to or misappropriate campaign finances. Like, it's just, that is not wrong. It's true. It's like getting Al Capone on tax evasion.
And as Democrats together need to put aside partisanship and call out this politicized persecution through prosecution for what it is.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I would defend them. I defended Hillary Clinton when the FBI director tried to tank her presidential campaign with that ridiculous press conference. I despise Hillary Clinton, but I care about the system more than any individual. And clearly you do too. And I appreciate your coming on tonight. And immune system response is the perfect description of what we're watching. Thank you.
Wait, did he actually? That'd be weird as fuck.
Jason Whitlock is a frequent guest on the show for a reason. He brings insight that few
Oh,
others
this is
have.
about to be
He's
so
hosted
unhinged.
Fearless and
Oh,
joins us.
God. Oh, God. Oh, dude, Jason Whitlock. Uh-oh. He's going to say some fucked up shit. Get ready.
Tucker, I hear you loud and clear. I've been watching all week. You've been doing a marvelous job. I do think all of this is tied together. I live here in Nashville, Tennessee, where we had a transgender person murder 3 young children. Today in our state capital, which is right here in Nashville, the transgender anti-gun crowd took over the House for a time. And then by the time I get home, I find out Donald Trump has been indicted. And I hear you loud and clear. They are agitating for unrest. That's the only way to interpret this. They are agitating for unrest, and there is a godless element in this country that doesn't care about fairness. They don't care about the will of the people. They care about power and control. As you have spelled out this week, they think they're God. And they don't think they can make up the rules. They can decide what fairness is. They don't have a biblical worldview, and it's sickening for me. I'm upset. I'm emotional. I'm ready for whatever's next. And I hope every other man out there watching this show, I hope you're ready for whatever's next. If that's what they want, let's get to it.
It feels like this is not the behavior of people who want the current system to continue. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, they don't like our Judeo-Christian founding. That's why they don't like the founding fathers. That's why they want to overthrow the Constitution that is laced with biblical values and biblical principles. They want a Marxist, godless, communist country. Plain and simple, clear as day, with the alphabet mafia, this LGBTQ alphabet mafia in control. The godless people that you're talking about that are totally antithetical to Christianity and biblical values wants control and is seizing control, and they feel like taking down Donald Trump and beating everyone else into submission and just making them give up. That's just better. Give up on Donald Trump, give up on... Tucker, I don't say this with pride. I really don't. I'm just being factual. I've never voted. And so I'm not saying that with pride. I'm hardcore MAGA tonight. I will be voting. I am hardcore MAGA. I've never voted. I did, I observed Trump. I'm somewhat supportive of Trump, but they have made me MAGA. And they have made me ready for whatever is next, because what they are building for young people, I can't sit by and just let it happen without raising my voice and without being willing to sacrifice whatever so that kids don't live in a communist Marxist society. These people that think the government is going to take care of them don't understand history, that they've never studied history. They don't understand how tyrannical a government is. If they have their way, if they have their way, we're all catching hell except for the elites. And yes, I have a very good bank account and perhaps I'm an elite, but my heart is working class. My parents were factory workers. I came from nothing in this country. I'm black. They're telling everybody, black kid, oh, you can't come from nothing and make it in this country. That's bullshit. This country is the greatest country in the history of the planet. It's the safest, most prosperous place for black people and all people. That's why people are beating down the doors to get here. And they've demonized the whole thing, and they've turned Trump into this devilish Luciferian character when they are the devils. They're the ones that don't believe in God.
Jason Whitlock. I agree. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep.
A Fox News alert for you. Reports indicate that Donald Trump will be fingerprinted, photographed, and possibly handcuffed. He has been told to surrender early next week in New York City. Obviously, this is a humiliation ritual. The question is, how do we respond as Americans who are trying to be decent and measured and keeping, as always, the interests of our children and our grandchildren in mind, in the hope of continuing what we have, which is great. Harris Faulkner thinks that way. She is the host of Faulkner Focus, the co-host of Outnumbered, our friend. She joins us tonight. Harris, thanks so much for coming on. Give us your thoughts about where we are and how we should respond.
Well, first of all, you know, just on the heels of what Jason Whitlock said, and I think we worked in Kansas City at the same time, if I'm remembering correctly. He was in sports, very talented guy. America right now is just watching a moment we've never seen before. There were two former vice presidents who were indicted, one back in 1832, and then, of course, Spiro Agnew under Nixon. And so we have seen that happen before, but a sitting president was impeached more than once and then became an ex-president, and they're still going after him. And I have to tell you, sitting on the couch of Outnumbered earlier today, his former press secretary, of course, is my co-host, one of them, I said to Kayleigh McEnany, there's no way they indict former President Trump because this...
I don't know if I'm crazy, but like, they're not really lighting the fire that much. Like, I maybe it's because I've basically gotten used to it all day because they've been like yelling all fucking day. But like they really haven't been popping off too hard. You missed the last guy, Jason Whitlock. Yeah, I mean he's gonna say some unhinged shit regardless.
I just want to make sure the case is strong enough to win. I think it's more about dates on the calendar. Where are we now? We're getting closer to a time that Joe Biden might want to announce. He's out on that 20-day, trip trying to convince people that inflation isn't high and that the prices that they're seeing for the cost of everything, including everything they put in their mouths, is actually an illusion. So while he's out there doing that, this is going on. I don't believe in coincidences, but let me just do a little housekeeping because you brought up some important points. Are we going to see this president in handcuffs? Let me tell you who's in charge. It's the Secret Service. They will take the lead of all of the police forces. The NYPD can, as I understand it, take care of security out on the street. And New York State court officers will take care of security inside the courthouse. But the former president of the United States will be protected, as always, by Secret Service. They will, quote unquote, set the tone. This is according to sources close to Fox News. They will mention the instance or the decision of a handcuff or not to handcuff the president. They will make those types of determinations. So that's
that's not, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump is too rich to I think Trump is.
Can,
I'm a
as I
little.
understand it,
I'm
take care of security out on the
a little
street.
underwhelmed by Tucker Carlson's
And New York
performance.
State court officers will take care of security inside the courthouse. But the former president of the United States will be protected, as always, by Secret Service. They will, quote unquote, set
Oh yeah,
the
this part's
tone.
really
This is
funny.
according to
They have to go in
sources
prison with
close
him.
to Fox News. They will mention the incident.
That's like a shitty '90s comedy premise. You know what I mean? Like the president's prisoner Secret Service
So
agents. That sort of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're not really.
In America's history, a former president of the United States has been indicted. A Manhattan grand jury voted Thursday to charge Donald Trump in the hush money.
The fuck? Oh, the broadcast.
In America's history, a former
Oh, it ended. Let's see what CNN's saying.
Be presented to a judge on Tuesday to hear what these charges are, Jake.
All right, Evan Perez, some interesting and breaking news. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry, Laura, I interrupted you. But let's
Holy
take a step
fuck,
back
look
on
at
the
this
case,
panel,
on the larger
dude.
case. As Omar in The Wire once said, if you come for the king, you best not miss. Is there any chance that this case is not strong?
Yes. Candidly, yes. There's always the chance.
You big dummies.
One of the reasons
Y'all-
why we can
y'all
be
indict
a little bit more
Trump? Oh man. That was the worst thing you could have just done. Because now not only have you set the stage, you are about to see chaos. And not only that, you just gave everybody a reason to love Trump even more. And
Bro, does he have tears in his eyes? What the fuck's going on? Be a man, bro. Be a man. Okay? Listen, crying for the reality TV president possibly getting like a slap on the wrist. I mean, what the fuck is this? Not to be toxic, but like if you're gonna fucking cry tears, like make it over something valid, okay?
open the people's eyes even
Like One Piece. You know what I mean? Some shit like that.
more. That, oh man, are they screwed? Who would go do such a stupid thing? What a crazy day. You got an insurrection happening in Nashville because of the trans people. You got Biden up here.
I'm willing to bet he doesn't think that there was an insurrection in January 6th, but the real insurrection is the fucking mass shooting that happened in Nashville.
You're laughing at people because of
America, the land of many insurrections, you know, like around 3,000 in the past 5 years. 3,000 insurrections have occurred in the past 5 years.
because of the shooter, right? He didn't really care. I'm Biden. I'm stupid. Press secretary. I mentioned press secretary. You know what I mentioned in my last video. Then you go in and indict Trump. Y'all in big trouble. Cause all I can say is bring the pain. Bring the pain.
What? I'm so excited. Rip off the bandage. It's going to get crazy. You mean Band-Aid, Jenny Jazz person. Godwin's, y'all. Amen. We love President Trump even more. First arrest will shock the world. You know what the funniest part about it is? Like, this is what the QAnon guys thought was going to happen to, like, all the Democrats. All the Democratic Party perverts. All the Democratic Party pedophile deep state vampires were actually going to get arrested one by one. And now, like, Trump is getting arrested. Oh, how the turntables for QAnon, dude.
Where is he? The number one.
I love that shit. Do leftists sound this unhinged when talking about leftist stuff? Because Fox and conservative commentators blabbering gibberish about their pet issues sound absolutely fucking insane to me. I don't know how to describe it, because, like, if I got this emotional about something, it'd be over, like, fucking, you know, paywalling healthcare. You know what I mean? Reducing access to healthcare by making it, by giving it at a cost. And I feel like that's such a valid thing to be upset about. Democrats just turned Donald Trump into Tupac? What? Why Tupac?
is arrested, which is probably not gonna happen. If he goes to jail, you know the Secret Service has to go with him. That's a real thing. I found that out yesterday. I don't know if they go into jail with him in suits or if they all get a jumpsuit. It'd be funny if they all got jumpsuits and still had the sunglasses. They're like, POTUS has dropped the soap. He's dropped the soap. Get him now. Get him now. We have a Mar-a-Lago situation right here. POTUS's border is open. The border is unprotected. It's unprotected. There's a bunch of Mexicans trying to get in there. You know, if Trump...
Please, God, let him represent himself. I mean, that'd be so sick. It would be. To be fair, when Bolsonaro got stabbed, people got very emotional about him, and he got way more support with his sob story. So something similar could happen. Yeah, but like going to jail possibly over like paying a porn star hush money through campaign finances is not the same as like getting stabbed.
Please turn to God, repent, pray for our country, pray for peace. Put on the full armor of God. But here's what's
that just
really
started on its own.
They miss. Donald Trump is not even a person anymore. He is a symbol. He is a symbol of the average, everyday guy that keeps getting screwed every single time. Watches other people screw up big banks, screw up their companies, and get away with it.
This guy almost died from his like crippling addictions, and he was too unhinged for
the timing of it.
This is Trump's attorney.
You know, the New York County District Attorney,
like his actual attorney, not like fucking Lena Habba or whatever.
New York City, and
one of his
have often
real
brought,
attorneys.
In my experience, cases that they really shouldn't. I've seen them indict many cases that I am later, taking into dismissals or acquittals because they don't really instruct the jury on what the law was. And so even if you have a situation where the facts aren't in dispute, the judge isn't in the room. And the prosecutors who want the indictment are the ones telling the jurors, hey, by the way, this is the law as we interpret it. But if that's not what the law actually is, that indictment gets dismissed.
So sources have told CNN that Donald Trump faces more than 30 counts related to business fraud. If that number is correct, does the quantity of charges surprise you based on what you know about this case?
No. See, the feds, when they bring a case, they do it in a pretty concise manner. New York County District Attorney, I've seen them many times where they take each individual little transaction and they separate it into different counts. I once had a gambling case. It was a small sports book that they put into 1,000 different counts for every single bet that they placed. So the quantity doesn't really mean anything here.
Do you know if the president's team and the state of New York are discussing the arraignment logistics? We know that the court date is Tuesday.
That is my understanding, is that they're working out the logistics. And again, that's not my responsibility, but that is my understanding.
Yes, no, understood. Do you know if your colleagues who are specifically on this case been given details of the indictment, which obviously we're told still is under seal?
No, they wouldn't be given detail. Really, the fact that we're even talking about this kind of demonstrates the double standard, because ordinarily you wouldn't have any of these details because it's sealed. It's illegal for them to be leaking details like how many counts, what the counts are, and things like that until a judge actually orders it unsealed. So no, they wouldn't be sharing that with the team at this point.
So Donald Trump has made a lot of public statements and statements on social media attacking District Attorney Bragg, attacking this case. Spell out the evidence, in your view, that the DA has done anything improper.
Well, really, what's wrong here is the allocation of resources. This is a district attorney that not very long ago, there were pretty significant calls for his removal by his failure to prosecute crime in New York City and the rising crime in Manhattan that matched his failure to prosecute. And instead, he diverts presumably millions of dollars into something that really doesn't have any effect on keeping New Yorkers safe. Now, again, it's not my case, so I'm not going to comment on the specific facts here, but this is the problem with elected district attorneys. because elected district attorneys, particularly in one-party jurisdictions, on either side of the aisle, they don't pursue what keeps the voters safe, but rather what they think is going to help them win the next primary. And so it is that prioritization of politics over what is going to be keeping the New Yorkers safe that's really the big misconduct in my mind.
What about the argument that under Donald Trump's administration, there was a U.S. attorney, Mr. Berman, in New York, who brought the case against Michael Cohen for a related crime? And if that was criminal, then individual A mentioned in that indictment of Michael Cohen should also at some point face consequences.
Well, so there's 2 points to that. First of all, that is a decision for the U.S. Attorney's Office to make. The U.S. Attorney's Office, they had Michael Cohen sign a cooperation agreement. They went through all of this stuff with him. They had him in for several proper sessions, and they ultimately decided he was not credible enough for them to bring a case against anybody else. And he was sentenced without a 5K letter or a cooperation letter. But the other point is this. Just because somebody has pleaded guilty to something as part of a cooperation agreement does not mean that other people committed that crime. I've had many clients acquitted based on the say-so of a cooperating witness who pleaded guilty to something that judges or juries later said was not a crime.
As you know better than I, this is not the only criminal investigation into Donald Trump's actions. There's the DOJ special counsel investigation in D.C., which encompasses the documents that were at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's involvement in January 6th. There's the Fulton County, Georgia special grand jury investigation into election.
Oh, that guy that got banned just said, if you're happy about Trump being indicated, go fuck yourself. Which is pretty funny because, like, he said indicated instead of indicted. Dude, his supporters got the same fucking brain processing power that he has. Like, is awesome. Choose your lib. Any joy for me is a celebration that no one is above the law. I think it's okay to be happy about that. It's a somber day. And Donald is presumed innocent until proven guilty, but I'm celebrating the rule of law today. It's just like, just have fun. Just, put your feet up on the table, let your nuts hang. You know what I mean? Have some fun. Watch some conservatives lose their fucking shit over it. That's what this is all about.
I love my country. It was some bad people
they
in
got
government that
robbed.
did it to me, and I cry
That's
for my
Felix
country when I
Biederman's
see what's happening
bestie,
now, that they would do
Rod
something like this for an American
Blagojevich.
president, irrespective of what party he or she is from.
That's right. That's right. The side that is covering up evidence is the side that's lying.
Ain't no way he's on
really
Tucker.
Need to just put that on the
He's been
refrigerator,
on
'cause that
Chapo.
is always true. Former Governor Rod Blagojevich joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So as you know, a grand jury in Manhattan has voted today to indict the frontrunner in the Republican field for president in 2024, Donald Trump. CNN is reporting that Trump is facing 34 counts of, quote, falsifying business records. Those would be misdemeanors that have been transmogrified into felonies somehow. Apparently, this is related, and again, we don't have the text of the indictment, but it is apparently related to Donald Trump's alleged payment to Stormy Daniels 7 years ago. Trump says he did not use campaign funds for that payment. We can be pretty sure he didn't, because if he had, he'd be charged for misusing donor money, and the Federal Election Commission would have pounced on him years ago. So we can be certain, pretty much, that Trump used personal funds. At the time, federal regulators who were in charge of looking into this did look into it and determined it was not a crime. But now the Manhattan DA, who was like so many DAs who've inspired the crime wave we're now suffering through, was backed by George Soros, has decided to prosecute the Republican frontrunner for this. So it raises the question, who exactly is this Manhattan DA? His name is Alvin Bragg. He's a rich
it's time to
kid,
attack the real villains
Harvard.
of the story.
But what should we know about him as we enter what is certain to be a history-changing spectacle in the next several weeks? Fox's Kevin Corke has been looking into the story. He joins us tonight. Hey, Kevin.
Evening, Tucker. Alvin Bragg has been ridiculed by critics for even pursuing these charges because others, including the Southern District and others, have had a chance to bite that apple, have bypassed on it, and because of the weakness, presumably, of any particular case. But for the man you see here leaving work tonight with massive security presence, well, he's also the same man who campaigned on what some called a Get Trump platform. This indictment for him, they argue, to critics, is a win no matter what, because it's not about the win, and that's the point. By the way, Bragg has been on the job since 2022. He won election back in November of 2021, taking over for the retiring Cy Vance. And his career includes time as a federal prosecutor. He was also an assistant AG for the state of New York and a civil rights attorney. And remember this, he does have a tie to George Soros, at least indirectly, because Soros donated to a very liberal group that endorses progressive prosecutors. And that group, you'll recall, used a significant portion of their money to support Bragg in his 2021 campaign. Now, Bragg has done something no DA has ever done. And the fear tonight, Tucker, is many others will now follow suit, presuming that turnabout is fair play, which means it's not just a Trump problem, probably. This could be a problem for a number of American politicians moving forward, including presidents. Tucker?
Kevin Cork, thank you so much.
You bet.
So we've been
That's
asking
it?
tonight, how will
I thought they would have given us, oh, dude, let's go Hunter Biden penis time.
An early answer now. This is, we're going to read this just as from a text. This is from MoveOn.org, which is one of the biggest Democratic political organizing groups in the country. And they've sent a mass text to their members, and we're quoting from it here. Trump is the first former president in history to be indicted. It's an important step to try to preserve American democracy, his indictment. In the echo of Trump's appeals just before the January 6th insurrection, Trump has called for his supporters to protest and take back our nation, employing white supremacist and anti-Semitic tropes, provoking waves of far-right violence. To mark Trump's indictment and ensure he is held to account, MoveOn has printed a huge batch of these Convict Trump stickers and is giving them away for free while supplies last. So if you thought that organized Democrats in this country would pause for a moment before destroying what remains of our 250-year-old system, apparently you thought wrong. So what does happen next? Every action provokes a reaction. Radical actions tend to provoke radical reactions. So will Republicans in the states, will district attorneys who are Republicans in the states retaliate? What will they do exactly? Something, for sure. Francie Hicks is a former state and federal prosecutor.
Oh, that'd be so sick. Dude, imagine. Oh, my God, that'd be so sick. I really want them to, like, start trying to arrest people over dumb shit.
I don't think it goes anywhere good, Tucker. You're exactly right. The concern is that you're going to have retaliatory action in the states, in the DA's offices, like I used to work, where people are going to think, well, turnabout is fair play. If you're going to go after President Trump, we're going to go after President Biden. Or if, as the Department of Justice has always thought, you can't go after a sitting president until and unless he's out of office, what stops them from going after the rest of President Biden's family for what looks like political corruption? You know,
oh, fuck yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
by
Let's go. Let's
a
go.
movie
It's so
quote,
sick.
because I tend to be a sci-fi geek. I'm really struck by the quote when Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Darth Vader,
What?
If you kill me, I'm going to become more powerful than you could ever imagine. And I just wonder whether Trump and this movement
Oh, my God.
behind the support for him, because of what looks like a completely political prosecution, will mean he will become more powerful than they can imagine.
Right. I mean, there's a whole religion based on that idea, actually, as you know. So, sure, that's a well-known phenomenon that the consequences you expect
Guys,
are not always
everyone is a liberal. Everyone at the end of the world is, everyone at the end of the day is a lib, okay? That's it. That's like, that's it. That's why.
This
This is all I tell you all the time.
DeSantis has already said he's not going to participate
This
in
is just like Star Wars,
Trump's lawyer
Tucker.
earlier in the show said she thinks he's going to fly to New York and surrender, but what if he decides not to? This is next week. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 days.
bro. Yeah, he's
Maybe
not
Trump
going to
decides,
fucking
I'm not going to Florida.
do
We're
it.
going to try to speak to him tomorrow and ask him directly, but who knows what's going to happen? And then DeSantis says, well, I'm not going to send marshals to pick him up. And then you have a national crisis. Like, that could happen, could it not?
Well, it could, because states have to cooperate with each other. When you've got someone indicted in the state system rather than the federal system, states rely upon the governor of another state, the judges of another state agreeing with that sort of extradition. It's one of the reasons why we expect federal officials, including former federal officials, to be prosecuted and investigated by federal officials so that they don't face this problem. But it could be a real crisis.
That is such a smart point, which as a non-lawyer, I didn't know, but it makes sense. Thank you so much. Francie Higgs.
Thanks, Tucker.
So because we're in the middle of a very fast-moving story and we don't have all the details, we're going to just pause right now for a recap on where exactly we are in this. We're joined by Fox's Laura Ingle, who's at the courthouse in Manhattan tonight, and she's going to get us up to speed. Laura, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. And, you know, we've had a very busy night down here, a full city block full of reporters and cameras and tents and creating that circus-like atmosphere. There was a protest that rolled through here behind me in front of the courthouse a short while ago, but it was a protest about the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, and his policies on the homeless, but it was loud. We thought it might have something to do with this indictment of Trump today, but it was not. They moved along. But this courthouse has been surrounded by barricades, and we've got over 40 New York State police officers for the court system here protecting this. And as we move through, we want to reset at 5:30 today. Just before 5:30, we learned that the Manhattan grand jury voted to indict former President Donald Trump, the first former U.S. president to be charged criminally. The New York Times reporting tonight that Trump will turn himself in on Tuesday. We have not been able to confirm that. Trump has repeatedly called the investigation a witch hunt.
Why is the Trump campaign and Trump's side only giving information to liberal media, by the way? Like that is also kind of weird.
They know that I cannot get a fair trial in New York. The 23 grand jurors have been listening to evidence since January on Trump's role in hush money payments to former porn star Stormy Daniels. Now, that felony indictment is under seal, and we do expect to get more details about the charges in the coming days. The Manhattan DA's office issued a statement tonight saying, this evening we contacted Mr. Trump's attorney to coordinate his surrender to the Manhattan DA's office, arraignment on a Supreme Court indictment, which remains again under seal. We will bring you more as it comes to us here downtown. Tucker?
Laura, thanks so much for that. So under the U.S. Constitution, which makes this the country that it is and has been for 250 years, all Americans have the right to an impartial jury. That's granted us by the Sixth Amendment. But what will the jury in Donald Trump's upcoming trial look like? For the answer to that, Joe Armino, who is a criminal defense attorney who is based in New York and very familiar with the jury pool there. He joins us now. Lou, thanks a lot for coming on. How do you expect this trial, assuming I guess there's going to be one, to play out with the jury pool in New York?
Hey, Tucker, thanks for having me. First, I'd like to say, like your former colleague, Jason Whitlock, my heart goes out to America today. My heart is broken. I had some tears in my eyes earlier. Jason is such a great guest. Every time I listen to him, he's incredible.
I told you they were going to say you can't find a jury that's going to have an opinion of Trump one way or the other that's like impartial.
Completely outraged by what's going on. Completely outraged. You know, as far as the jury pool goes, I hope that my fellow New Yorkers are going to be there to listen to what's going on. But, you know, I've tried probably over 50 cases. My partner has probably tried over 200 cases here in New York City. I'm not sure I have complete faith in the jury pool here. We live in a blue state and a blue city with a blue prosecutor. So I'm a little concerned about the jury pool and the fact that it's not going to be a jury of his peers.
In a city where people defecate on the sidewalk? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'm just kind of thinking that. Okay, Lou, thank you for confirming our suspicions there. Appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
This guy,
Ned Ryan, runs American Majority,
is the most rotund person you could have found.
Now, Ned, what's your first thought about this?
Well, they're targeting a political opponent over policy differences. The un-American left is ushering in a new era of pure power politics, in which they've decided rule of law, equal application of it is dead. I would argue, Tucker, we're really living an illusion of a constitutional republic than an actual reality of it. And now the real rules of the game are 100% law is a weapon. And I think the real question I have is, are red state AGs and DAs prepared to wage this war of lawfare? And I don't want to hear any of them say, ooh, it's icky, we're better than that. If whoever says that, I really believe doesn't know what time it is, because we're in a Cold War, Civil War era in this country in which we have to decide and commit to the policy of mutually assured destruction. Democrats are launching nukes at us. We better decide we're launching nukes back at them until they stop. And if we don't do it, if we don't understand, right now we have two sets of laws, a bifurcated legal system in which one side gets the entire legal system thrown at it, go to jail, and the other one gets to skate free. And if you don't fight it, and if you just accept it,
I just want to know what they'll get people
on.
on.
A one-party state, one-party system, which ultimately ends up in authoritarianism. The stakes here, I can't even begin to tell you how deep and how consequential the stakes are of what's taking place now. And I have to tell you, Tucker, my greatest fear is...
Like, arrest Chuck Schumer. That'd be fired. Joe Manchin, put him in jail. Kristen Sinema, Nancy Pelosi. It'd be so sick. But also, like, what would they get him on in general? Like, insider trading? Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed.
You give up your AR-15, and I think most people know that. Ned Ryan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Hard to believe what's happening in America. We thought we'd check in with the man on the leading edge of America in the city of Los Angeles, which is always ahead of national trends, a lifelong resident of that city, Adam Carolla, who we always see when we're in town, host of the Adam Carolla Show, to put this into perspective. Adam, thanks so much for coming on. So what's your view of what we're watching?
Well, it's fine. I'm sorry, I don't have any new thoughts.
Bro, they got everybody on board.
200 guests before me, I think, encapsulated every thought you could possibly have about this. But like Whitlock said, I think there's a religious angle to this. Yes. I think they, on the left, that is a religion, and I think they look at Trump as Satan.
Yes.
And if you got to get rid of Satan and or Hitler, then you just do what you got to do. God is on your side. So there's a kind of...
You feel that, right? I mean, I feel that too. I don't think I'm imagining it.
Well, it is like...
This isn't politics,
Trump derangement syndrome feels like the kind of anger you would have against a religion and a religious leader who didn't agree with your religion, and then you need to take them down, you know, incarcerate them, whatever it is. And so all the rule book is out the window when you're dealing with Satan or Hitler or Beelzebub or whoever. So I think there's that element to it. The other one is kind of interesting, which is we make proclamations. Like Merrick Garland says, white supremacy is the biggest.
The thing is, like, they don't hit anything outside of like the pre-existing talking points, the pre-canned talking points. So it's like difficult for them to come up with creative new angles while staying within that narrowly defined box, right? Especially when like this is a dude who's like done a lot of shit. That's why you're hearing like, you know, the 11th guest, Adam fucking Carolla, come up with like, well, they think Trump is Satan. It's like, wait, first of all, you're on Fox News. Like these guys very openly keep saying that everyone in the Democratic Party is a demon. Pedophile vampires doing satanic pedophilia. Not the normal kind of pedophilia, but the satanic kind. Like, what do you mean? They call them demon rats. So what the fuck?
Population is being pushed into a corner for a reason. I'm not just imagining that.
I feel like it's to get them to react so that the government can now swoop in and do a self-fulfilling prophecy, because everybody who reacts to this is going to be a white supremacist. And remember, we told you that white supremacy is the biggest problem this country faces.
How long can they scream at whites before that just becomes ineffective?
Whites.
It's like I've said a million times, there's never been a better time to be called a racist. You could just be lumped in with everyone else in this country, anyone who voted Republican. And to your other point, I think the only way this stops is if LeBron James and the Obamas and the View ladies and Joe Scarborough, if people start speaking up, not people on the right,
no,
people on the
that's
left. Like you need some sane cultural leader who's an athlete or Oprah or someone of that nature to start going, look, I don't like Trump, but I love the country. This isn't right. We need to do something.
Because aren't you supposed to settle it in your elections? Isn't that how a democracy works? You don't like Trump? Okay, fine. Then you get to vote against him, right? I thought that was the system.
What if Joe Biden was running against the devil? Then how would you want to settle
No, you're
it?
exactly right. Well, then you need to get the angels of the Lord in there. Alvin Bragg. You did add a lot. What? By the way, even after our 100 guests, Adam Carolla, it's wonderful to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. So the next logical question, now that the Republican frontrunner has been indicted, is could he be convicted? We turn again to Fox's Trace Gallagher for the answer to that question. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Tucker, and again, it's important to note that we don't know the exact charges because they won't be unsealed until the former president is arraigned, which would likely happen sometime next week. And as we have told you, a large part of this case will come down to the credibility of Michael Cohen.
so
That's
bad.
Donald Trump's former lawyer. Cohen is a convicted felon who has a history of stretching the truth, or for that matter, breaking the truth. But remember that Alvin Bragg has the advantage of seating a jury in Manhattan that is friendly territory for Democrats. Even with defense attorneys using their ability to dismiss certain potential jurors, it is more than likely that Bragg will get a jury that leans more left than right. And for the sake of argument, let's say that friendly jury believed Michael Cohen and did not believe the former president. It would still have to be more than a he said, meaning that when Alvin Bragg's attorneys get into a courtroom, they would need to prove each element of the case beyond a reasonable doubt. In other words, they would need to prove that Donald Trump knowingly went around campaign finance laws. And so far, we don't know anything about any smoking gun evidence, or even a hot gun for that matter, meaning some type of proof showing that Donald Trump falsified documents to boost his campaign. The former president has already pretty much laid out his case on social media, which he has a tendency to do. He's pretty simple on this. He claims that Michael Cohen, who was his attorney at the time, told him the payoff to Stormy Daniels was legal. And Trump claims he was simply taking his attorney's word for it. So the bottom line in all of this, Tucker, is that if you look at the legal reaction on social media, even those on the left believe that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is going to have his hands full once he gets into a courtroom.
Trace Gallagher, thank you so much for that synopsis tonight.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear, missing though we are some of the details, that we're about to enter a brand new period in American history, and it could get really dark, and the only thing that can stop it is for responsible Democrats to stand up for the country. We don't know if they are. We're praying they are. We'll rejoin you tomorrow night. In the meantime, here's the great Sean Hannity.
All right, and Tucker, and thank you, and welcome to Hannity. We are back tonight in studio, a live audience.
Oh, my God.
Great to see you. We begin this Thursday night with the Fox News Alert. Trump attorney Joe Tacopina will be here. Eric Trump will join us. The great one, Mark Levin, will be here tonight. Mark Levin is here. Greg Jarrett, Alan Dershowitz, Jonathan Turley, so many.
Oh, the Dersh! The Dersh! Okay, we're not. I'm done. I can't keep doing this, okay? Especially not at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break. We're going to switch off from this shit, and we're going to look at some other stuff. I can't do this. I'm not done with the stream. I'm just done with, like, this part of the fucking content. We've listened to Fox News propaganda for the entire day. I mean, they've read the indictment 11 times, okay? I can't do this any longer. The top of the hour ad break, on the other hand, has only come 4 times. We're going to talk about AOC and the libs of TikTok lady and what's going on there. We got a lot more content to cover, okay? New Marxist theory just dropped. What? Why did you send me Jesus fucking Christ Rowling? Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. These gentlemen think that when they have changed the names of things, they have changed the things themselves. This is how these profound thinkers mock at the whole world. Engels. God, some of these people are thick. Marx is a materialist. When I left The Guardian, I described my view as materialism. Marx said social being determines consciousness. Engels also says ideas don't determine reality. This is why gender ideology is inherently right-wing. What? Bro, gender in and of itself is quite literally a social construct.